That relationship had to end. You want to know why? Because you would have been too busy laying up, cooking him dinner, making his lunch, massaging his back, going to have picnics. And those things are cool and everything. But honey, let me tell you, that relationship had to end because you would have been too focused on him instead of activating your power and your purpose. Your power and your purpose come first. Welcome to Alcheminity, because turning pain into power is sexy. I'm Timmesha, Miss Burgess, if you're nasty. And I'm the creator of this here society, colony, where I'm your queen bee. And we're a colony and society of phoenix who have risen in the dawns of our new days. We have been through some shit. We have been through hell, but we lived to tell the tale. Basically, we've been on the dark night of the soul journey, and we have had to learn how to alchemize. We have had to learn the science of alchemy, hence alcheminity. We've had to learn how to turn our pain into power. Now, for those of you on this journey, you've turned your pain into power, and it's sexy. That is what makes you sexy. The fact that you have learned the power and science of alchemy, and you've applied it in your life. You have taken things that were seemingly pit against you, and you've turned them into things that work for you and with you instead of against you. That is what makes you sexy. So let's get into this cast for this evening or morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Right now, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Boston, Massachusetts. And I said, you know what? Let me talk to my people real quick. So anyway, welcome here to Alcheminity. To those of you who are subscribed here, thank you for subscribing. To those of you who have not, what are you waiting for? Maybe by the end of this cast, you'll decide you want to subscribe. So let's get into it, y'all. That relationship, or those relationships, every romantic relationship, even friendship, but we're going to stick to romance here, had to end because your ass would have been too busy curled up with him. And I know this because I was in that same boat. Okay. This is how this works. You know how it goes when you meet somebody. You get those butterflies, right? You're falling in love. Honey, you are just curled up, hooked up, kissing and cooking and hugging and sucking and rubbing and fucking. That is how it goes, right? You are in tune with each other. You're entwined with each other. The only thing you're getting up every day to do is get up. You're probably going to work. You're coming straight home. You're skipping the gym. You're skipping those hikes. You're coming straight home. You want to cook and you want to lay up. And so for those of you who are on this journey and are turning your pain into power, you are a chosen activated one, and your ancestors and your spiritual guides don't play about you, and they don't play about the purpose that you came here to fulfill. And they don't play about the powers, plural, that you possess. And so a lot of your relationships ended, all of your relationships previously ended because your spiritual guides knew that you would have never come into your power and your purpose had you stayed with those people or that person. So, self-disclosing as I always do, I have been proposed to at least 3 or 4 times in my life. I've been engaged twice in my life. And my longest relationship was 5.5 years. And, we were well together. We worked really, really well together, but we grew in different directions. And when I look back on that relationship, great guy, loved me dearly. I know he did, and I loved him dearly, but we grew in different directions. When I met him, I was young. I was 19 when I met him. We broke up when I was about 26. And when I look back on that, I said, gosh, I would have been probably divorced with 2 or 3 kids by now. With him, I got pregnant. I met him when I was in 18 or 19. I met him when I was in college and got pregnant, right? He actually went off to war. He came back home and I got pregnant, right? And I was in college. I wasn't ready for a kid. And I decided not to move forward with being a mom. But, had we got married, of course, we would have had children together, would have been divorced by now. Hindsight is 2020. But I know for sure that would have been my path. That would have been my trajectory. He was already a father. He had a son, but he really wanted more kids. He desired to be a father and a husband. He was ready to settle into that life. Well, I was just coming into my own. I was just becoming a woman and finding my footing and trying to find out who and what I was, even though I didn't know I was trying to find out who I was. But I remember, being with him and kind of being in his shadow. And not when I say in his shadow, meaning, he was the breadwinner. He was the provider. He was very traditional. The man, is the head, which I'm not against. But he made all of the decisions about our life, where we would go out to eat, where we hung out, when we would vacation, things like that. So, when I look back on that, I said, damn, I really would have just been just a wife. I would have been a mother and a wife, and I would have settled into that quaint life. And there's nothing wrong with that. I still desire to one day maybe be a wife. If not, a healthy long-term relationship is fine with me. But when I look back on that, I realize that would have stunted everything that I've come to this planet to do. And so I share this because I want those of you to know that sometimes, for me, not even sometimes, but all of the time, so those of you on this particular journey, lots of relationships have had to end for you. You probably met somebody, maybe even recently, you probably met somebody and they just ghosted, right? They just disappeared. It seems like they fell off the face of the earth. Nothing went wrong. You guys didn't have an argument. Maybe you were getting along, you laughed, you had great times together, you spent time together. And then they just disappeared. And you didn't even have to have sex with them, by the way. Okay. I know a lot in the back of a lot of folks' minds, once you go there, then the thrill is gone. The thrill is gone away, right? You think it's over. And, so in cases like this, that doesn't even have to be situations like this, that doesn't even have to be the case. Relationships and those people just ghosted because it just had to be that way, because it had to refocus you on your power and your purpose. And so the reason that you've been able to activate your power and your purpose is because of pain. The reason you've been able to wake up to who and what you are is because of pain. It's because of heartbreak. It's because of those betrayals. It's because those relationships ended, which forces you to take a look at yourself. If you're on this journey, it forces you to face yourself. Now, for other folks, relationships end, they go in a downward spiral. They don't face themselves. They just look for the next person and next relationship to jump into, which is, as we know, very, very unhealthy in a lot of cases. I don't know. It depends. I've heard the whole saying, the best way to get over one man is to get underneath another one. Do y'all remember that? Well, we're not talking about that here. We are talking about a very specific group of you, the 144, the activated chosen ones, where your power and your purpose was awakened. It came online. It was activated because of the pains that you've experienced. For example, let's think about 2020 when the whole COVID corona thing happened, right? Y'all probably heard people saying stuff like, I'm with my husband or my mate, we live together, we're together day in and day out because of having to, stay indoors. People were staying indoors and spending more time with each other, right? So many divorces happened in 2020. So many breakups of relationships happened in 2020, from, romantic to professional. People were leaving jobs. It wasn't just that businesses were closing. People were leaving jobs and weren't going back. People were leaving relationships and were not going back. The divorce rates were extremely high, and then marriage rates actually went up because what was happening was people were leaving and ending relationships with karmic connections, with people who they knew they shouldn't have been with in the first place, where, it had become a toxic relationship, or people were just staying for the kids or staying for convenience or staying for whatever reason. So people were leaving those unhealthy relationships and going into different ones. People were married to people 10, 15 years, ending those relationships and going back to somebody who they loved all along, right? I'm just using that as an example. So these relationships and your relationships those relationships in your life had to end. Number one, so that you can come into alignment with who you are, what your purpose is. And then number two, so that you can come into alignment with your divine life partner, baby. I don't know if y'all noticed, but we are in a war. Okay. We are in a war on this planet. It is a psychological war. It is a spiritual warfare going on. And when times like this happen on this planet, divine unions have got to come together, because both of you together slay monsters, right? So your previous relationships had to end in order to bring you in alignment with your purpose and your divine life partner. Hello. And let's just go even deeper, y'all. Let's just break it down even more. I'm going to break it down so it can forever and always be broke, as my boy said in Love Jones. Okay, listen, that relationship and your previous relationships had to end because you would have missed out on that networking event. You know why you would have missed out on the networking event? Because you'd have been too busy at home, curled up with him. You would have been too busy at home cooking for him. You would have been too busy at home trying to prepare because he was on his way over to spend the weekend or to spend the night with you, or you'd have been over his house spending the weekend. That relationship and your previous relationships had to end because you would have been too focused in him, and you wouldn't have sent that email. You wouldn't have answered that call. You wouldn't have stopped at that store to pick up that magazine and in that magazine, there was some opportunity that you could submit your photos to. Maybe you do hair. You went in the store the day y'all broke up and you were so sad and you just went in the store. You picked up a doggone Essence magazine and opened it up to page 32 and saw they were looking for a makeup artist or something, and you applied, and damn it, you're on your way to Hollywood. I'm just saying. That relationship and your previous relationships had to end because they were not in alignment with your divine life mission and your purpose. Right? You would have been too busy fucking. Sucking and fucking. You would have been too busy sucking and fucking, rubbing and ducking. You would have been too busy doing that as opposed to doing you. Does this make sense to y'all? If this is resonating with where you are right now, put it in the comments. Put something in the comments. Let me think. What's a good little thing you can put in the comments? I don't know. Think of something clever. Put something in the comments that says this resonates with you. Okay. So yeah, those previous relationships, they had to end. They had to go. Even if they didn't, a lot of relationships end and there weren't any hard feelings, right? The person just disappeared, or you just disappeared. Maybe you walked away. Maybe, you just didn't feel like going out on that date, right? It was something else you needed to do. You had rather be at home finishing your book, right? Or finishing writing in your journal. You'd rather be home in meditation. You'd rather be home preparing that talk because you got a big presentation the next day, or whatever the case. Maybe you decided to walk away because there was an inner calling, and is an inner calling inside of you that says this, not that. Also, for a lot of you, because you're intuitive and you're empathic, you know that there's someone's, okay, plural, because y'all know, I believe that there are many the ones, but you have already gotten the inner download and upload that there are someone or someone's greater that are waiting for you to show up. And you wouldn't have been able to show up. You would not have gone to that networking event where you met this gentleman who has added to your life in the most beautiful, amazing way. You would have missed out on that had you still been with Tyrone, had you still been with Mike, had you still been with Larry, had you still been with whoever, fill in the blank. You would have missed out on that person, that place, that thing, that opportunity. So put this in the comments. That relationship had to end in order to get me to my purpose. Right? This has been a huge revelation for me in so many ways. And like I said before, there have been people that I've connected with and I was like, that was a great connection. That was great. They thought I was great. I knew they thought I was great because they showed me and they told me. They made plans. They made date plans. They would pick me up. They would wine and dine. They would look me in my eyes, tell me how beautiful I am, how smart I am. I mean, I know that these particular men were crazy about me, were enamored with me, and not just by what they said, but the way they would look and how they would treat me. Women, ladies, we know when a guy is into us. We know when a guy is not into us. Definitely. And we definitely know whether we give this credit or not. Because a lot of the times we always focus on, like that movie, he's just not that into you. Well, these are the cases where the guy is actually really into you. And you know that he is. Ladies, we know when a guy is into us. We know it, right? We know when a guy's falling in love. We know when an engagement, like we can sense those things. We can kind of pick up on those kinds of things, right? And so for those of you on this journey, you're not always ghosted. The relationships just didn't end because a person walked away, right? But you had to walk away, or spirit or your spiritual guides ended the relationship. And even when things were going great, it had to end. Why? Because they were not aligned to your ultimate life purpose, okay? Or your mission, or who you were evolving into. And so how I like to look at it, I say, you know what? This was fun while it lasted. And it really fucking was fun while it lasted, right? I was taken to the opera and not the opera, but I was taken to the symphony and taken dancing and taken to museums and taken to, all these wonderful things that, we often dream of as a great time with somebody and great outings and great dates. You have had all of those. You have had good, decent guys come into your life. And those connections ended out of the blue, not because they weren't crazy about you, not because you didn't like them, but for some reason it just ended. And you're questioning like, what the hell happened? What was that about? Listen, I know. I've had many conversations with my spiritual guys. Like, I don't understand this. I don't get this. Like, everything was going great. As far as I'm concerned, things were great, right? What was that about? How did this person just end it or just disappear? Or, why did I decide to just walk away from that? Because your purpose is greater. And the type of people that come into your life matters because they can interfere with where it is that you're going. This elevator that you're on, when they say not everybody can go with you, you are the living example of connections that had to end because they couldn't go where you're going. And just going back to the main point, the relationship had to end because you would have been too busy curled up with them instead of activating your mission and your purpose and your superpowers. So I hope this resonates with you all. If you are going through something like this right now, if a relationship ended, you've been with them for some time, or maybe you've just been dating and it seems like, gosh, this one didn't work out either, or whatever the case is, trust me, you're not alone. I know what that's like. And for those of you on this journey of turning your pain into power, you're in an activated 144 one. That has happened a lot because it had to get you to where you are right now. It had to get you to where you are so that you can be on the path and the trajectory of where it is that you're going. But don't worry, honey, because this period of being alone and being single or isolation was absolutely necessary. But remember, right, it's only a transitional period. So those old people left so that these new, powerful, amazing, sexy motherfuckers can come in. And oh my gosh, the floodgates are opening up for y'all. I'm just telling you, prepare to be amazed. It's a wonderland, okay? Once you activate your power, meaning your gifts, your talents, your skills, your abilities, your sensuality, your sexuality, which activates your beauty and your magnetism, baby, the floodgates are opening up and anybody's going to be pursuing you and chasing you down, wanting to be in your life. Why? Because your light is shining. Your fire is bright, like a moth to a flame, burned by the fire. My love is blind. Can't you see my desire? That's the way love goes. Doom, 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 doom. Hey, right? This is what happens when you activate. Honey, they're coming in, and they're coming in droves. So not to worry that those old relationships ended, because these new ones that's coming in to pursue you, baby, mark my words, write me and tell me about it. Anyway, I hope this resonates, y'all. If you're not subscribed here on Alcheminity, because turning pain into power is sexy, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click that subscribe button. For those of you who are subscribed here, listen, I love you. I love you. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this society. Without you, there is no Alcheminity. So I'm glad to know that what I share, what I write, what I speak about here resonates with y'all on deeper levels. Just know you're not alone. Don't forget to get your copy of Activate, Unorthodox Philosophies that explore anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts as symptoms of suppressed superpower. You can get it in paperback or ebook on Amazon, or you can order your copy directly from me from my website, TimmeshaBurgess.com. I'll sign and inscribe it and send it to you with all my yummy, juicy energy on it. Okay? And get your merch. Fear of Feminine Power is a mental disorder. You can get all that information in the description box. Everything's down there in the description box, y'all. Everything you need to know is down there. Listen, don't forget to donate here. Honey, listen, I love the jingle, but it's better when it folds. So thank you to those of you who have donated here. Thank you for your super thanks, for your cash apps, for your Zelle. I appreciate that. That helps Alcheminity continue to grow, continue to evolve. It helps me market more internationally, y'all. I got some stuff that needs to get to the people that it needs to get to. In order for me to do that, your donations help, okay? Consider becoming a member. To those of you who have sent me emails just asking for, life advice or suggestions about things or how to activate things, consider becoming an Ask Timmesha member, which is the fire member level. There are 3 membership levels. Also, Patreon is back on board, y'all. So make sure you visit patreon.com/alcheminity to join the book club and the masterclass, or you can just simply become a patron and be a supporter that way as well. All right, y'all. I'll speak with y'all in the next cast. Ciao for now. Mwah.